Hi, and welcome to MK6420 Selling and Persuasion. I'm George Ferguson, the faculty member for the course. The whole idea behind the course is to make sure that everybody understands we're all in sales. You don't have to be selling a product or a service or something like that to actually be in sales, where you are trying to persuade somebody to do something. So that's what this course is really all about, and it's based on Dan Pink's book, To Sell is Human. In this video, we're going to be going over the expectations for the class and then also how to access all the information within Canvas. So that's what this is really all about. And let's get this out of the way here. When you log into Canvas, you'll notice that you hit the home page that goes along with it. Now let's go over the expectations for the course and the syllabus that goes along with it. You'll see the course information and my contact information, and also my personal Zoom room where you can access me during office hours, which is Tuesday through Thursday from 9 a.m. until 11 a.m. You'll see the class meeting. We're meeting on Friday, November 6th from 6 p.m. until 8 p.m. And then Saturday, November 7th from 9 to 11 and also from 1 to 3. They will have a break in there where you'll also have a catered lunch that goes along with it. You need to make sure that you have your computer up and your camera on so that you can get credit for being a part of the class. If you're not a part of all 3 sessions, you don't get credit for the class. You'll see that the course catalog description, as far as what it is we're trying to accomplish, the required materials. First of all is To Sell is Human, The Surprising Truth About Moving Others. It's the book by Dan Pink. You can purchase this from the Rockhurst bookstore, or you can get it off of Amazon. I actually use a Kindle Cloud version of the book. You have our course Learning Goals and Outcomes, okay, as far as the principles of selling and persuasion and applying it, meeting with some successful folks who are actually in sales, and then understand how it actually applies to Rockhurst values. There is basically one deliverable that goes along with this, and that is the reflection and action paper. There's also the participation, which is 30% of the course. You can see how the grades are set up, okay, the typical MBA setup as far as grades are concerned. And our course policies. For attendance, you have to be there for all 3 sessions, both days. You need to have your computer there and with the camera and microphone working. If yours is not, let me know, or contact the help desk and see what it is that they might be able to do for you. The primary form of communication will be through Canvas and the email processes that go along with that. Here's the course schedule as a part of the syllabus, and there's also a section in Canvas that shows just the schedule. You have to have your cameras turned on, okay? If you have a problem with it, let me know. Maybe borrow some equipment or something like that from the help desk. There's going to be pre-work that needs to be completed before the class on November 6th. You need to make sure that you've read the book, cover to cover, the book To Sell is Human by Dan Pink. Then you also need to make sure that you read each of the lecture or watch each of the lecture videos that go along with each of the sections. There's also going to be a section by Alana Muller, who will provide basically a class over that video that she's doing. And we'll talk more about that here in just a bit. We also ask that you complete an introduction discussion board so that we know who it is that you are and other people in the class know who you are. And you need to make sure that you identify an item that you're going to be using for practicing the selling skills. It could be something that's tangible, something that's intangible. We'll talk about that more. Starting at 6 o'clock on Friday evening the 6th, we'll have the welcoming remarks, and then also we'll have a speaker, Randy Wisthoff, who is the executive director of the Kansas City Zoo. We'll be talking about sales from a nonprofit standpoint and some of the things that go along with that. You also have a chance to ask him some questions, get more information. Starting about 7 o'clock, we'll be looking at the first 2 modules. We'll briefly review the things that were in the book. You also have the lecture videos that go along with that. And then we have a series of small group exercises where we will actually apply the concepts that go along with it. Shut it down by 8 o'clock. On Saturday, make sure that you review the information for that day. In other words, the lecture videos, the Alana Muller video, the things from the book. We'll start off with reflections from the evening before, and then briefly review Module 3, which is pitch. Get into some of the things that will actually help you with your pitch in your practice. We'll have some small group exercises, and then we'll get into improvisation and the things that go along with that. We'll finish up the morning at 11 o'clock, where you have a break between 11 and 1. Now, between 11 and 1, you will have a lunch delivered to wherever it is that you are at. It will be provided by Inspired Occasions Kansas City, very nicely presented and paid for by Barnett Hellsberg. So you need to make sure that you let me know fairly soon where you will be and what the address will be. If you do not give me the address as far as where your lunch is to be provided, you won't get one. Starting at 1 o'clock, Alana Muller will review some of the things that she talked about in the video and the things that you did in the exercise. And you'll have a chance to ask some questions, things like that. Then for the rest of the afternoon, we'll be actually practicing your sales pitch, where you have your item and you're going to be practicing several times as far as what your pitch actually is. We'll summarize and wrap it up by 3 o'clock. So that's the schedule for the 2 days. The one deliverable is the reflection and action paper, where you step back and think about what were the key things that I learned from the book, from the discussions, from the speakers. What were the real key things that really stick out for me? And describe all of that in your own words. The other half of the paper is going to be your specific action plan. How are you actually going to put those learnings into place? You see, the guideline for it is around 5 pages. If you go over that, you don't get counted off. If you try to do it in 1 or 2, you're going to get hammered. And we want it in APA format. It's due by Monday, November 16th. So in other words, you have a little over a week in order to get that done. My suggestion is the sooner the better, while the information is still fresh. Make sure you submit your paper via Canvas, and don't email it to me or anything like that. It needs to be submitted to Canvas. The rest of the syllabus has the various university policies as far as screening for COVID, plagiarism and academic honesty, and then all of the other things that go along with what you see in all of our syllabi. Go through this and make sure you're familiar with all the things that go with the course and the class. Now, in looking at Canvas, you'll see the various segments here. Okay, you have the announcements. So in other words, all the announcements that will be sent out will be shown there. You'll also receive them in your email, hopefully. You have your modules. Now, in the modules, you have your start here. Right now, you're in the welcome video. You're watching that. There's also information as far as how to get started. You have the instructors that we have for the course. So we have this guy, I don't know if you've heard of him before, Barnett Hellsberg. He owned a small jewelry store or something like that here in the Kansas City area. He'll be with us as far as the class is concerned. Then you have Tom Lyon, who is sales director in Merck Pharmaceuticals, where he will be providing a lot of the information that go along with how do you actually sell. So that's the people that are a part of this. In the Start Here section, you also have the textbook. You have information on navigating your course, purpose and structure, the technology requirements. In other words, make sure your computer does have the ability to project, to utilize the cameras, things like that. The course learning goals, and then the schedule, which is basically the 2 pages from the syllabus. Now, as far as pre-work is concerned, you have your pre-work instructions. Before the beginning of class on November 6th, you need to make sure that you've completed all of these things. First of all is reading the book To Sell as Human from cover to cover. Reviewing the Start Here information, posting a response to your student information so we know who you are, have a little background, know who it is that's a part of the class, and it's also for you to know who else is in the class. Then what you want to do is probably set aside several hours to watch the videos that go along with this. It doesn't have to be all at one sitting. You can break it up. That's okay. You just need to make sure that you've watched all of them before the class. So you have your lecture video for Module 1 for Friday evening. It's about 7 minutes long. Then you have your Module 2, which is for Friday morning, which is about 10 minutes. And then Module 3 for Saturday afternoon. Also Saturday afternoon, you're going to have Alana Muller talking about your purpose as far as life is concerned. Now, the video is about 40 minutes long, so make sure you set aside about an hour for this, because there's also a workbook that needs to be downloaded with this. As she walks you through the video and the process, you will step back every once in a while and answer questions. As you're going through and answering these questions and thinking about your purpose for life, do not think of this as just another task to be completed. You want to think about this deeply, honestly. You want to really dig down, because this is something that, as it says here, can be truly and meaningful and valuable for you in your life and your professional life. Then after you've watched all of this, then watch the video by Dan Pink where he's being interviewed, talking about why To Sell as Human is so important. Now, one of the key things that we're going to be doing is practicing the things that Dan Pink talks about in the book. And so at the end, on Saturday afternoon, we're going to spend a lot of time actually practicing the sales pitch and the things that we've built during that time. So you need to make sure that you've identified an item. It could be something tangible, like something that your company is selling, or it could be something intangible. Maybe one of the things you're doing is trying to sell a consulting service or something along those lines. Maybe you have a major project that you would like to pitch to senior management. There you are selling. And so you want to practice that right there. Make sure that you have some kind of physical representation of what it is that you're trying to sell, so that you can put it on camera and show people what it is. Or if it's a document, you can share the document with the people. We'll be doing this in small groups. We're not going to do it in the front of the large group, just in small groups. So make sure you have something physical to show people as far as what it is that you're actually trying to sell. So that's the pre-work instructions. And then you can see all of the links and the things for the pre-work. Okay, you have the textbook that you want to purchase. Again, you can get it off Amazon or at the Rockhurst bookstore, or borrow it from a library. Student introductions and background. This is actually taking you to one of the discussions where you are putting in your name at the top of the introduction. Don't use nicknames or anything like that. You want your actual name. And we know who it is that's doing this. And then kind of give us a little background, briefly where you work, what you do, something you might be looking forward to from the class, and then also maybe one thing that's different about you. So that introduction will be necessary several days before the class starts. You have the lecture videos, the Alana Muller purpose video, and the workbook that goes along with that, and then the summary for Dan Pink. And then you have the assignment, the one deliverable, which is the reflection paper, where you step back and think about what were the key things that I learned and how will I use them. And one of the key things about this is the format that's being used to submit it to Canvas. It needs to be in like a Word format, or preferably PDF, or you could even do an ODT, an open document. Do not use Apple Pages as far as the format and submit that. Canvas cannot open it. I can't open it. You'll get a 0 if you submit something that's in an Apple format. Apple doesn't play well with anything but Apple. So make sure that you preferably submit it via PDF or more of a Word doc. So that needs to go to the assignment needs to go through the assignment aspect. Now, the discussions. One of the things I always put in my classes is what's called a cyber cafe, where if you have questions that maybe others might be interested in, or something that's general, or something that doesn't need to be answered right away, put it to the Cyber Cafe. I monitor that, answer it. Everybody gets to see it. You also have the student introductions and background, where you're putting in some of the background, some of the things we just talked about. Then at the end of each session, we'll ask you to put in your pearls. In other words, what were the key things that you learned in those sections? It works as a real good summary for everyone to read, where everybody puts in, well, here's one of the key things that really sticks out for me. And what it does is it kind of reminds everybody else as far as some of the key points that go along with the class. You have your grades. In other words, once you submit the final paper, it gets graded. You'll see the feedback and the information there. You have the people who are a part of the class. Here's the cast of characters that's in the class. And then there's also links to Google Drive and Office 365 so that you can store your stuff, submit it, things like that. Then there's the Zoom room for the class. In other words, that is going to be the Zoom link that gets you into the class. So those are some key points from the chapter and from the for the class. If you have questions, please just give me a shout.